When I was a little kid and we were moving all over the world, I wanted a pizza or a hamburger. In Greece and Spain, I would eat a lot of the local food, but I wasn't really much on the seafood, which is a shame because there's wonderful seafood there. It wasn't really until I started dating my now wife, and they had an oyster roast. And we had local cluster oysters. I had those for the first time, and it was phenomenal. And then we started getting fresh shrimp. If you've never had fresh shrimp right off the boat, it's a whole different thing.
I'm Devyn Whitmire. People from South Carolina, like myself, are proud of their state and everything it has to offer. But even we don't know every nook and cranny. So we're traveling to the most unique places in the Palmetto State. Some of them even we've never heard of. From Discover South Carolina, it's the Palmetto Porch. Today, we're in McClellanville with Jeff Massey, owner of Livingston's Bulls Bay Seafood. Jeff champions fresh, local, sustainable seafood, and I'm excited to learn about his journey and the work he's doing to keep oyster and clam culture thriving throughout the state. Jeff, thank you so much for having us today on your beautiful dock in McClellanville. We are literally on the water. And what is the structure behind us here? I'm so curious. Is that House of Boat?
Yeah, that's my next door neighbor's boathouse. That's the last one on the creek.
Really?
And, you can't get a permit to build them anymore. He's very proud of that. And it's a great little boathouse. And it's just nice to see something from the past that's still here. We are a commercial seafood dock here. We farm raise clams year round. We farm raise single oysters, along with a co-op here. We get all wild local product. We get local cluster oysters during season. We get local South Carolina shrimp during season. In the spring, we will shed soft-shell crabs, usually about April, and that's all South Carolina product. And we don't buy or sell anything that doesn't come from right here. My wife's parents, Bill and Kathy Livingston, and they own this dock. And I started coming down, helping them do the books. Then came in, worked soft crab season, and then they wanted to go on a cruise. So I came in and ran during shrimp season, and I've been here ever since.
Yeah.
And
so family drew you to the seafood industry.
Yeah, we got pulled in, and it's great. I'm glad. It's been awesome.
So for someone who has never spent much time in the Low Country or even heard of McClellanville in general, how would you describe it?
It's becoming a very desirable place to come buy a piece of property, but it's still the old village. You ride around, you got all the moss in the trees and all the beautiful houses, and you ride around town and there's kids on their bikes and they're little packs of kids running around doing stuff, and they're going fishing, they're getting in little boats and going around, they're getting in trouble like kids are supposed to do.
Yeah.
And it's just a great place to raise a family and a great place to live.
In your own words, what is mariculture? It's
growing marine animals in confinement, basically. There's different, like you can do mariculture, you can grow fish and different things, and you feed them. What we do is we only grow on wild food. We don't add anything to ours. They eat what's out there. So it's the same thing as the clam that's grown 50 feet away, or the oyster that's grown 50 feet away. But it's the husbandry. It's growing the clams, taking care of them, finding good places for them where they go, and then harvesting them. We have equipment in here. We can bring them in, get them nice and clean, and put them in different size bags for you. And then the hard part's selling everything, and we sell everything we bring in. I didn't really have a mariculture background. I came in here and we were doing shrimp and oysters and a little bit of wild clams. And Bill asked me to come in, and I was like, okay, but we got to do something different. I don't want to just be down here doing crabs and shrimp in 10 years. So we decided to go into growing clams. And all the research on how to do it was done here in Charleston, but no one ever really did it on a full scale. And that's how we got started. We bought our first 50,000 clam seed, and it would fit in the palm of your hand. And it cost a chunk of money. And we dumped it in a tank, and it was like, what have we done? And we grew on from there. We started planting in 1999. We started harvesting in 2001, and we've been doing both ever since.
What are some of the biggest differences between traditional wild caught fishing and the practices that you guys employ?
Wild caught, you have to go out and find the clams wherever they are, and it's great. I've gone out and done it, and especially when the weather's a little bit nicer, and you could lay down in your wetsuit in the water on your stomach and just dig in the sand, in the mud. And it's just mesmerizing. You're sitting there and you're just tossing clams in the basket. And, oh man, it's 45 minutes have gone by.
Yeah.
And that's great. But we need more clams than that. I mean, if I go out there as a clammer and have a good day and I bring in 1,000 clams, I mean, I've done something. We do 25,000 clams a week right now, at least, maybe 30. So, I mean, we have a lot of clams coming across the dock.
Yeah.
And one of these yellow bins over here holds about 800 to 1,000. So we'll come in. We just had a boat come in this morning and they had probably 14,000 clams on board. We farm raise clams year round. We plant them in bags out on the lease. And then we get them when they're small seed. They're like 4 to 6 millimeters. So they're like this big. And we'll put them in a bag and grow them for about 6 months. And then we bring them in, transfer them to another bag. We put 10,000 in a bag when they're little. We put 800 or so in a bag when we move them. And we put them in bigger bags so the water flows better. And we plant them out there for about 1.5 years. So it's about a 2-year cycle.
How do you see clam and oyster farming impacting the availability and quality of seafood for South Carolina restaurants?
It's just going to make it better. When we first started, the people weren't buying a lot of clams. And nobody bought them during the summer because of the old rule, no shellfish. And during the summer, if it doesn't have an R in a month, you don't want to eat it.
Right. Okay. I need you to elaborate on this rule because I've heard this. Is that's myth?
It was back when there was no refrigeration.
Uh-huh.
People were just trying to stay safe. And the real reason behind the thing was not that the clams and oysters aren't safe to eat during the summer. But they all spawn in May. And then all the babies are on the banks growing or buried in the bottoms. And you have to give them a chance to get going. That's the main reason behind all that. And then everybody started thinking, well, bacteria. And we can't do it. But they're safe to eat all year long.
Looking ahead, what are your hopes and goals for Livingston's Bulls Bay Seafood and oyster farming and clam farming in general?
For the industry, I'd like to see us keep going. We got a grant from Rural Development to help expand markets the last couple of years, and we've bought a lot of clams and sold a lot of clams on that, and that's helped, and it's developed more farmers, and that we just got to get more people doing this. I'm on the steering committee for the school here, the Commercial Seafood Apprenticeship Program, and we do a class once a year for a month, and we get people in, and they get all the training they need to go into the commercial seafood industry. We did 12 people this last year, and I think over half of them have jobs in the industry now, and most of the rest of them are still in college. So they're not quite ready to get out, but they get all the safety training they need so they can go work on these offshore boats.
What other advice would you give to someone who's wanting to do what you do?
I would try to go somewhere and get some experience and find out if you want to do clams or if you want to do oysters or if you want to do both, or you might want to, there's people growing seaweed, but you just got to go do it. It all sounds fun and everything, and call somebody up like me and say, hey, I want to go out in the boat and see what you guys do.
Well, you've mentioned being a mad scientist. You mentioned crawling around in mud and floating around like Gumby in the water. Seems like there's a lot of adventure involved.
Yeah, you do. We go out there and get in the mud, and it's like, pluff mud, and good old Charleston pluff mud. And you get out there and you're knee deep in the mud, or we're climbing around on top of the mud, slithering. I like to do what I call Superman, where I got about 3 foot of water and I can float. My body floats and I just pull myself on my hands and do everything. And we have to go out there and rope up bags, and we're doing the clam dance. You grab one end of the bag, I grab the other end of the bag. It weighs 500 pounds.
My goodness.
So we got to shake all the mud out of it. So you stand there and do the clam dance, and then pick it up and throw it in the boat. You go out there when it's freezing cold, when the wind's blowing. We pretty much go. We got pretty big boats, and they're very safe, and we try not to do anything too crazy. We took Andrew Zimmern out. He came down here and did his show, and we took him out on a day it was blowing like 40 miles an hour.
Oh, wow.
And we about killed him. He first thing we got a wave over the side of the boat, and it washed out our pump. So we couldn't pump any of the mud out of the bags. And so he and I were dumping like half a bag in a basket and hanging off the side of the boat and shaking them in a basket. And it's pouring down rain, and the wind's blowing. And the other boat with the camera crew and the sound guy, their anchor pulled and they drifted off. And we realized when they drifted off that none of my people were in the boat with them.
Oh, no.
So we got on the radio, and I walked them through starting the motor and driving the boat back. We did like 5 baskets. We've been going about half an hour, and you're covered in mud. And I look over, and Andrew's laying in the bottom of the boat. He was like, how many have we got to get? I said, we got to get 15 more. And he was like, this is crazy. I said, you're the hardest working people I've ever seen in my life. We got a couple more and we came on in.
Yeah.
Because they were dying. Normally it's like a 20-minute boat ride out there. The weather was so bad that day, it took an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
So it was a lovely day. He had a great time. The crew had a good time. They were all happy to get back to the dock.
I can imagine.
But you go on days like that. So you got to have a little sense of adventure.
So I have a really hard-pressed question for you. In your words, why would you say the phrase happy as a clam has meaning?
Oh, it's great. When a clam's buried up in that bag and the mud's right and the food's right, everything's going good. They grow so fast and they're big and they're healthy. I even named my boat Happy as a Clam.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, that's the name of my boat over there. And that's just been, happy as a clam in mud. That was always the expression. And if you get them in the right spot and they're growing good, they grow so fast.
Yeah.
And they'll get if you see like a white lip around the end of a clam when you look at it, that means it's growing so fast that the color can't catch up. And so that's what we're looking. That's happy as a clam. That's what we are. We're happy in the mud.
What would the low country in South Carolina's landscape and fishing landscape look like if not for McClellanville?
This town's been here a long, long time. And this whole tradition's here. I think this whole area without McClellanville would be totally different. I think we'd be a little bedroom community from Mount Pleasant. You get a lot of these local people here who've been here since the 1700s. Their families have been here. And I think they would sell their property and leave, go try to find something else to do. I just think that South Carolina would be less, the whole Charleston area would be less without McClellanville. I grew up, my dad was in the Navy. We were all over the place. I didn't really have any of this. Mm-hmm. And my father-in-law brought me into this and kind of really got me interested in there's a whole culture. There's a whole different mindset, everybody out here. And there's a lot of these guys that are fantastic at what they do, but they couldn't go get a job we call it a job on the hill. They couldn't because they're independent and they're not used to anybody else telling them what to do, and it's their calling. And this is what they do. And that's the kind of personality you got to have to make it. And sometimes they come in and tell you what a sorry person you are. And you put up with that too. And that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Yeah. I don't know. I just love producing something that people love and that I feel like it's important. I'm not making widgets or whatever, it's, and I've done a bunch of sitting in a cubicle kind of work, and this is so much better. I would like to thank all my fishermen who work for me, work with me, because we couldn't do this without them.
The Palmetto Porch is produced by Discover South Carolina in partnership with Pod People. To find out more about this town and all the towns featured on our show, visit scpalmettoporch.com.